Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa on a Tuesday. Welcome on the show. My name is Wale Scott. Welcome. Okael Tinubu, welcome.
Always a pleasure.
Now, the Super Eagles camp opened yesterday for the 2022 World Cup qualifying games against the Central African Republic. The Eagles play CAR at the Test in Balogun Stadium, Lagos on Thursday before traveling to Douala, Cameroon for the second leg 3 days later. A total of 16 players arrived in the first day of camping. CSKA Moscow winger Chidera was the first in camp, arriving Monday morning, while Allianz defender Chidozie got in not long after. Kaizer Chiefs goalkeeper Daniel Akpeyi and SC Paderborn defender Jamilu Collins were also among the early birds in camp. Okay, now, Eagles media officer Babafemi Raji said the players took part in a gym session at 4:30 p.m. yesterday. He also confirmed that the team would resume training on Tuesday, that's this morning, this evening at 5 p.m. after another gym session at 10 a.m. this morning. So they're getting ready for their gym session right now. Now, also in camp as at Monday evening were the UK-based William Troost Ekong, Leon Balogun, Kelechi Iheanacho, Joe Aribo, Frank Onyeka, and new boy Calvin Bassey. Torino defender Olaino, who was on the same flight with the UK-based players Kevin Akpoguma, Paul Onuachu, Taiwo Awoniyi, and Samuel Kalu, also arrived yesterday evening. I don't know if I have Seun on the phone yet. If I do, hello Seun, good morning.
Good morning, Wale.
Good morning. Good to have you on the show, Seun.
It's a pleasure.
Now, Seun, despite the fact that we had a lot of players drop out, Etebo, Wilfred Ndidi, Alex Iwobi, I think relatively, Genoro has been able to get relatively good replacements for them.
Wale, you should know me. I'm not only your friend, but I'm your brother.
Yeah.
I will say it the way it is. One name that you just mentioned, I am not excited about that name. And I will shock you. The name I'm talking about is Taiwo Awoniyi. This man was an afterthought. And it's a shame on Genero. Iwobi was replaced by Laurent Seremofi. Then Awoniyi now replaced Seremofi. Iwobi was not even part of the conversation. And this is someone who has scored 100 goals in the German Bundesliga. And the brace he scored over the weekend against Mainz took his tally to 5 goals. How many strikers in the Bundesliga can you point to say have had better conversion rates than Awoniyi? And this is the problem I have with this coach. That invitation sometimes is not meritorious. Now, I'm waiting for what they will do to the young man. Maybe you go and put Awoniyi as a right back or a centre back, the way he does his things. But in all honesty, it is a shame on the likes of Shehu Diko and the Nigerian Football Federation president and all the board members, because we are playing Central African Republic. This is a team that the home-based players should have been able to take care of if we had a functional league that is well monitored and invested. I tell you what, Wale, today, we are in the same group with Egypt at the African Cup of Nations. When the coach releases his team list for AFCON, you will see how many foreign-based players they have, and you see how many local-based players they have. Because the fulcrum of that period of Egypt team will come from the likes of Zamalek, Al Ahly, Pyramid, and the like. Make your league functional. If we had a functional league, we would not be paying foreign-based players to come and play Central African Republic.
My question before we go forward is that it's sad to note that going back memory lane now, this same Taiwo Awoniyi was courted for years by Liverpool. He couldn't make it there because of travel restrictions and all that. Now he has scored, like you said, 100 goals in the German Bundesliga. And he's still a very young lad, if you ask me. This season alone, he just started. He has scored 5 goals already. And then Alex Iwobi is injured. You replace him with a Murphy who has never played for the Eagles before. Then that one too gets injured. Then Taiwo Awoniyi becomes third alternative. I think if I was Awoniyi, I won't come. Honestly.
You know, Nigerians will interpret it to be another thing. That you are being arrogant. I like the fact that he honored the call. Let me see whether the young man will get game time. Based on the form he's showing now, he's getting raw now. When we play 2 friendly matches and Maduka kept 180 minutes, no space for other goalkeepers, even in inconsequential games. So the question is, during inconsequential games, if you cannot try out some players, when would you have tried them out? Why did you even invite them?
In the first place, Mukai, let me come to you on this one. Now, Mukai, I have a question. My question is, now, is it possible for Genoro to actually listen to the cry of sports journalists and all that and try and look inwards at our own league? He can't continue to be held ransom by himself, handcuff himself by himself, when he's focused on just one place. And then when one player is injured, he now runs helter-skelter looking for replacement. He's going to miss a player like Mikel Obi, like Sunday Olise, who are hard-headed and will say, I'm not coming. How can I be an overthought? After first person was injured, then second was injured, and then I'm an afterthought. I'm not coming. Something that will happen.
They say pride cometh before the fall. Unfortunately, I don't think Gernot Rohr is ever going to listen to criticism, not from the likes of us, sports journalists, or anyone outside of the federation. If we are to judge his potential to learn, we have to judge based on his past efforts. He has made plenty of mistakes, and he hasn't seemed to learn from them. So it's unlikely he's going to learn from an outsider. If you can't learn from yourself, how can you learn from someone else?
Now, we have consistently shouted, we sports journalists, a few of us though, we are not many. Not many of us are friends with Amaju Pinnick and the rest of them. I'm not their friend. I know you are not their friend too. But basically, we have been shouting all this while, and they are not listening. And the reason why they are not is because most of our colleagues have gone there to go and parley with them. But some of us are still talking, and they are not listening. Amaju will never listen. Genoro is not listening. We're saying, look inwards sometimes. So you will be stranded like you almost were in this match against CAR tomorrow or next tomorrow. And he's not listening. Are we not loud enough?
You only blame those who employed him. What are the terms of contract of Genero? We saw in England, I know those ones having a penchant for starting coaches. That's Watford. They start Cisco Munoz and appointed Claudio Ranieri. While you can Google what the contract terms of Claudio Ranieri is, the job description and what he's to do. The same thing cannot happen in Nigeria. So, have you forgotten that your Minister of Sports, Sunday Dare, made all sorts of noise and mouth that if General does not incorporate some local-based players into the team before the league started, that he will get the wrath of the ministry. What happened? So if you have made your league functional, this coach will be forced to look at what is happening there. Wale, when was the last time you people scored from set pieces? I mean, free kick. I put that question to you, and before this show ends, you will never think of the last time we scored from a free kick. How many free kicks were scored at the last Nigeria Professional Football League that Aqua United won? A lot of them. So the question is, do we have players in the league? Yes. What we don't have is administration. And that's why I'm saying that the likes of show, the coaches have been told to go. What are they bringing to the table? It's all talk. Affiliating too much with the Nigeria Football Federation than your primary assignment, which is the Nigeria Professional Football League.
Well, I've always said Nigerians are built to play football like Brazilians. But like Seun has just said, our problem has always been administration. The talents abound in Nigeria, no doubt. We have that. But how do you administer? How do you work on these guys? They don't pay their salaries regularly. They're not being encouraged. But the talents abound. Let's move next to my next story. And this particular one saddens me because I'm a fan of this man. Now, the ATP has launched an internal investigation into allegations of domestic abuse against German tennis player Alexander Zverev by his ex-girlfriend Olga Sharipova. The men's tennis governing body said in a statement yesterday, in an interview with an online magazine Slate on August 25, a former tennis player Sharipova said that Zverev was emotionally and physically abusive to her during the relationship. The world number 4 and Olympic gold medalist has repeatedly denied the allegations, and no charges have been brought yet. Seun, I was a big fan of Oscar Pistorius, the Blade Runner, and he eventually was found out to have killed his wife. We heard he even had a temper. I thought if you are a sports person, one of the first things you learn to do is get disciplined. Sports is supposed to make you disciplined. You're supposed to be a disciplined person. And a man like Alexander Zverev, coming from somewhere, I thought he was gradually catching up with them, Djokovic, with the Federers, with the Nadal. This is going to put a dent on his image and his career. His former girlfriend says he was emotionally and physically abusive. What turns them into animals at the end of the day, despite their fame and fortune?
Wale, you will never be victim of circumstances sometimes.
Amen.
Some of these players engage in some of these things, and some of these things are all lies. Women, if they want to really set you up, they can set you up. And because of the kind of world we have found ourselves, we always think that anything that happens to the women is all true, and nothing happens to the guys. Somebody will introduce me to an organization about men also suffering abuse at home. And when they tell fellow friends or women, what they tell them is to man up when they are going through some of these challenges. And we have seen lots of people commit suicide because it's getting to them. They said, this is happening to me, or all you can do is to say man up. But when it's on the part of the female, you would always support them. I am not in support of abuse of any form, but it's rather unfortunate that this is happening to a player that I was looking up to take over from the trio of Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. Because I've always said it that once these guys retire, we will never have that long dominance that we had from the trio. They will always share titles among themselves. The Dominic Thiem, the Daniel Medvedev, the Alexander Zverev, the Stefanos Tsitsipas, and the like. They will always share it among themselves. But this is another unfortunate incident that is capable of ruining his career. We saw what happened to the legendary R. Kelly and a host of them. So I just feel that if he gets out of this, he will be lucky.
Now, do you agree with Seun or do you disagree? Do you say this is truth or setup?
I don't think either way we can say for sure that it's truth or not. We should take every allegation seriously, but I usually do not agree with the notion that as soon as an allegation is made, a suspension, a suspension is the next line of course, because you're interfering with his livelihood. And even if this all turns out to be false, even if he sues her for defamation and injury to his financial earnings,
the emotional pain still stays.
The emotional pain still stays. And what if she is not financially buoyant enough to repay the financial cost that she has already inflicted on him? And the fact is, some of these things are overreactions. When it comes to allegations of whether it be emotional or physical abuse, some of it is up to interpretation. If I push you now, that is considered under the law an assault because I have placed my hand on you.
Me, yeah?
But I might not be intending to physically assault you. I might be pushing you out of the way of a moving car. Like Seun said, there might have been a situation within the relationship where she might have been physically violent, and on the one occasion that he pushed her off
becomes the issue.
It becomes the issue. And even now, if noises are being heard from your neighbor's house, and you call the police that you suspect domestic violence is happening, if the wife is the one screaming, shouting, whatsoever...
And most times the wife is the one that's screaming, shouting.
Yes. When the police come, they assume that her screaming and shouting is in response to your physical abuse on her. So we have to be open-minded to hear both sides before we pass judgment. And when it comes to the employment status, the career status of a person who is being alleged to have done something that hasn't been proven, and she herself hasn't pushed for investigation, she has just made an allegation. until the investigation is concluded, the notion that you suspend someone, suspending their ability to earn, suspending their ability to continue to do what they are good at, even if it turns out at the end of the day that, yes, they have done this thing, that is for the law to deal
Work
with,
on, yeah.
not for your place of work to adjudicate over.
Now, former Chelsea and Leicester City boss Claudio Ranieri has been appointed as Watford manager. Ranieri, who famously led Leicester in the league title in the 2015-2016 season, signed a 20-year contract on Monday yesterday. 69-year-old, who left Serie A club Sampdoria at the end of last season, will replace Nisco Nunez after the Spanish left Watford a day after their 1-0 defeat at Leeds United. Italian Ranieri brings a wealth of experience to Watford, having previously managed Atletico Madrid, AS Roma, Juventus, and Inter Milan. Watford are 15th in the Premier League on 7 points from 7 matches, 4 points above the relegation zone. They next play second-placed Liverpool at home on October 16th after the international break. Now, Seun, by every standard, Ranieri is not a small coach.
I agree with you, 100%. And we call him the Tinker Man. Former coach of Sampdoria. That was a last coach in the Italian Serie A. Even there were so many reports that some Italian clubs were actually cutting his interest, but he actually rejected it. Watford is one crazy club, permit me to use that word. They sack anybody without any recourse. Just 7 games into the season, and they felt that Xisco Munoz wasn't pulling his weight. Some were even saying, why don't you allow him to, get you to midpoint before you do this? But that's how we roll in Watford. You know how many managers they sack? You don't have joy at all. So once you are not pulling your weight, they just tell you to go.
Mukael?
I do hope that Watford can stay off relegation and Claudio Ranieri can take them back to the heights that they envisage. I'm sure they will not qualify for any European competition, be it Europa League or UEFA Conference League. But I think they are bothered about not going down on relegation.
Now, Mukael, there's no doubt about it. You're a Chelsea fan, and most Chelsea fans will agree that to a large extent, Ranieri brought stability to the Chelsea team. And of course, he stunned the world with Leicester.
Yes.
And so, just that two alone, because Chelsea started making sense to people. Chelsea started getting the stability needed under Ranieri.
I have never known Ranieri to coach a team and leave it worse off
than it was,
or even as bad as it was before he came. He always seems to set a standard. He leaves behind a structure that allows for growth even under the next manager. Roma, I would say, maybe he didn't stay there long enough to make such an impact, but he did establish that Roma were trying to make moves. By bringing in Ranieri, by giving him a chance to even take over a few games, they created the possibility that a future progress could be made. And with Leicester, we all know what he did with Leicester. With Chelsea, we all know that the beginning of Chelsea's success started under Mourinho, but under Ranieri.
Seun Ajidagba, thank you very much for coming on the show. Thank you very much.
God bless you, Ali.
Thank you,
God bless you.
You were talking.
Yeah.
But that's not the question. There's no doubt about it that he was able to bring a lot of stability to Chelsea. My question will be, what miracle? What did he do right with Leicester? Nobody in the world, even the greatest philosophers who could see tomorrow, didn't see that coming. Leicester from where?
I wouldn't say that Ranieri goes into any team expecting or believing that they will win the league or win major title.
In this case, Watford just wants to hold on to a branch, at least for this season. And the next season, they can actually win the rest.
With Leicester, I would argue that he came in, they won in a season where every other member of the Big Six failed to do well. They all seem to have problems. Chelsea had problems. Manchester City tailed off. Liverpool tailed off. Man United were carrying on the inconsistency that plagued them since Ferguson left. And Arsenal, well, we all know Arsenal and Tottenham aren't going to win the league anytime soon. So it kind of left an opening. It was as though the Red Sea parted for him to lead them.
But it was good enough to have gone through Red Sea.
Yeah.
Because despite the fact that, yes, things were not working right for the first 6, he was good enough to keep his boys for consistent. No big names.
Now,
Stay focused.
in a normal season, perhaps they would have ordinarily, without a doubt, come in within the top 10. Unfortunately for them, that season, the level of consistency that he brought, which in any other season would have allowed them to finish maybe 7th, 8th, or maybe even as badly as 9th, but definitely not less than 10th. It allowed him in a good season like that for them, in a terrible season for the Big Six, they could find a path forward and reach the promised land. But with Watford, it's true what they're just trying to do is hold on to. We both agree they haven't started badly, but they probably believe that they can do better, and getting more results now, early in the season,
with a veteran like Ranieri,
will benefit them as opposed to trying to struggle.
They are still in the Carabao Cup, yes?
Yes.
So they can still get something.
Yes, very much. They still can. And Ranieri is the kind of manager that can breathe consistency, the kind of consistency that a stable first 11, stable form of play, and regular understanding of each other, camaraderie amongst the players, understanding of each other's abilities, and a focus on the task. That's what he can bring.
Ranieri, welcome to Watford. Tuesday, Plus Sports on PlusTvAfrica. Or we can take on the show today at Seun Ajidagba on the show via phone. Of course, thank you very much, Mukayo Tinubu.
Thank you.
My name is Wally Scott. Join us same time tomorrow, same station, Plus Sports and PlusTvAfrica. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.